Good morning, everyone, on this Monday, the 18th of January, also Martin Luther King Day, and the first day of the beginning of the week of prayers for Christian unity. An important day today for so many different reasons. But we are continuing our reading through the letter of Hebrews, and we're in chapter 5, verses 1 through 10. Brothers and sisters, every high priest is taken from among men and made their representative before God to offer gifts and sacrifices for sins. He is able to deal patiently with the ignorant and erring, for he himself is beset by weakness, and so, for this reason, must make sin offerings for himself as well as for the people. No one takes this honor upon himself, but only when called by God, just as Aaron was. In the same way, it was not Christ who glorified himself in becoming high priest, but rather the one who said to him, "You are my son. This day I have begotten you." Just as it says in another place, "You are a priest forever, according to the order of Melchizedek." In the days when he was in the flesh, he offered prayers and supplications with loud cries and tears to the one who was able to save him from death, and he was heard because of his reverence. Son though he was, he learned obedience from what he suffered, and when he was made perfect, he became the source of eternal salvation for all who obey him. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. There's a lot in this passage that could be unpacked, but I would like to just set it up because what's in here is that there are basically two things that the writer is trying to draw our attention to what was just the practice of that day. What did it entail for a person to be a high priest? Well, he was someone who was taken from among men to be made their representative. In fact, that representative would wear a breastplate with the stones of the 12 tribes. In other words, the weight of not just himself, but the whole community was with him. And so he was made to do that. And what he was made to do was to offer gifts and sacrifices for sins. To offer gifts and sacrifices for sins, especially on the Day of Atonement. Now, the other thing that is noted in here about this high priest is no one takes this honor upon himself, but only when called by God. They didn't self-select themselves. This was an honor that was granted by God. And he adds on this for high priests, was just as Aaron was. So it was from the line of Aaron that these high priests were come. Now this becomes the basis for the next part, which is in the same way it was not Christ who was glorified himself in becoming high priest, but rather it was the one who said to him, "You are my son, this day I have begotten you." So in other words, this was granted by the Father to Jesus to be the high priest, and a high priest not of the order of Aaron, but according to the order of Melchizedek. Now on this, it is offering prayers and supplications that are offered on behalf of the people, for himself and for the people, with loud cries and tears. One can almost think of the Garden of Gethsemane as a place where this was happening. The wine press, not the wine press, the olive press. Son though he was, he learned obedience. Now, this didn't mean that Jesus didn't have obedience, but he is experiencing it in the fullness of being obedient to the Father's will. He's experiencing it firsthand. He knows what it means, what it entails to have that obedience. And because of that, he becomes a source of eternal salvation for all who obey him. Quite a lot in this little short paragraph here, but it offers for us insights about the great work our high priest, Jesus Christ, has done for us and is still doing for us, pleading on our behalf. Stay safe, folks. Hopefully we get to see each other soon. Enjoy this great day. Bye.